Hey there everybody, James here. Thanks for stopping by the channel, and today we are talking about 3 reasons why you need a Jaeger-LeCoultre watch in your collection in 2025. So if you've not been on the channel before, you probably don't know my great and deep love for Jaeger-LeCoultre as a brand, as a watchmaker, as a company altogether, because they offer some of the most amazing watches in the industry. And I think they are undervalued. I think that, as we'll talk about a little bit, if you would get the same type of watch from a Patek Philippe, from a Vacheron Constantin, you would be paying significantly more than what you're paying for an equivalent Jaeger-LeCoultre. So let's talk about these 3 reasons. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I've always got some new stuff going up there every week, so please do that and start a dialogue with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts about Jaeger-LeCoultre. So what are these 3 reasons? Well, we're going to talk about them. I think the first one is you're getting an insane amount of handcraft for a very reasonable price. So as I talked about initially at the start of the video, the level of handcrafting that you're getting on any Jaeger-LeCoultre piece is pretty amazing. Now, this piece is a little bit special. So this is a 100-piece limited edition from 2019. So this is a perpetual calendar from the Master Ultra Thin collection, so just over 10 millimeters thick. And there's a lot going on here, but even if you don't have a piece that's limited or hard to find from JLC, you're still going to get a lot of hand finishing that people don't really talk about with JLC. When you think hand finishing on luxury watches, typically you start to hear names like A. Lange & Söhne, again, Vacheron Constantin, you talk about Audemars Piguet. There's so many brands that kind of get praised for the hand finishing and the handcraft that goes into making the watch. But again, when you think about the price point on a lot of those watches, they're up there. I mean, you're looking at probably for an entry level Vacheron or AP, you're looking at least 20 to 30 grand for most pieces. Of course, there's some one-off models in there, but that's not like a consistent price point for them. That's kind of like an exception. So I think the difference with JLC is that you can get into a master control piece, you can get into a master ultra thin for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 grand. And that's just an incredible value. So you've got to think about what you're getting. Now, is it one of the real value brands from my perspective? Like a Grand Seiko or like an Omega are probably my top 2. Not necessarily, but again, for what you're getting, I think you still could easily be paying way more for what you're getting with a Jaeger-LeCoultre. Now, reason number 2, their design aesthetic is one of the best in the industry. It just is. And you really see it come out on a watch like this because, again, this is a 100-piece limited edition. There's not a lot of these out there, but a brand that is willing to take the time to do something like hand guilloche a dial with multiple styles of guilloche and then put enamel over the top of it and make it a perpetual calendar and make it look the way that it does here with the dial symmetry, the harmony. It's not easy to do. And there's a lot of brands that I think value the level of complication that you can get, but they don't look anywhere near as good, in my opinion. Now, again, some people, don't care about an asymmetrical dial or, they're less preference to that. They just have a different style. But for me, dial harmony is really important. And again, if you look at this dial, it's literally symmetrical. I mean, the dial is exactly the same. If you would take a line and draw a line from the top to the bottom from 12 to 6, it's exactly the same across on both halves. You could fold it in half and it would look the exact same. So that to me is something that's really valuable, and that's not something that you only find on a piece like this. You find that on a master ultra thin date or on a, again, master control calendar, or there's so many pieces that JLC has, even in the Polaris collection, right? Like the Polaris Memovox, just a really cool piece. And they're so harmonious and so well designed. So I think that the design aesthetic, you'll tend to find what you like as you're in the hobby a bit and as you look at different brands. But JLC for me is one of my absolute favorites because, again, they have the ability to make a dial like this, to make it super thin, and it's just very appealing. And again, of course, there's a lot of special features built into this one, but design aesthetic, really important. I think secondarily to that, the heritage of this Maison is pretty amazing. And this is one area where I do think it's kind of similar to Vacheron Constantin, because Vacheron has also been doing a lot of really unique things, like special guilloche. They just released a new line that is all blue, which of course I loved. That has the zodiac signs engraved by hand into the dial and gem set, which is a little bit much for me. But again, they're doing those types of things that you don't find at many watch brands out there. Anytime you start getting into guilloche, enameling, those types of techniques, and obviously hand finishing, you're talking about something special. And they've been around for a long time, and were one of the key providers of movements to a lot of the big houses for quite a while, like Audemars Piguet, for instance. So that's the second one. And the last one, I do think that they are very versatile, even for a dress piece like this. So, again, this watch is a dress watch, if you want to call it that. It's a master ultra thin. You're not going to go swimming with this piece, of course. But I will say, just even something as simple as having 50 meters of water resistance, 5-bar water resistance instead of like a traditional 30 for a dress watch, is pretty amazing that they're able to build that into something like this. So, I don't have to worry about washing my hands or, being out in the rain or something like that with this watch on, because it's got a decent amount of water resistance and I don't have to worry about it. It's just got it covered. And as you get into some more of their sportier models, like again, the Polaris, for instance, you're getting, a good amount of water resistance. Like you have a Polaris memo box, you've got a Polaris with a perpetual calendar in it that has water resistance. So if you're looking for a sport watch, you can find it here. And if you're looking for a dress watch, you can find it here, and they're pretty versatile, even for a dressy piece. I have a Milanese bracelet that I got for this watch, and it looks great on it. It doesn't only look good on a strap. And so that versatility is something within a collection that can be really valuable, because you got to think about, again, when are you wearing these pieces? Certainly people have enough watches in their collection at times where they don't really have to worry about that, but for most people, they're wearing a rotation of a few different watches or several different watches, and where that fits in matters. Because if you have a watch that you're kind of pigeonholed into only wearing it in one situation, that can be tough, and it can be hard to really kind of justify having that watch in your collection. So I do think that having the versatility that Jaeger-LeCoultre offers is a really valuable thing. So those are the 3 reasons why I think you need to have a Jaeger-LeCoultre watch in your collection in 2025. You're talking about the high level of handcraft, the design aesthetic is amazing, and you're getting something that's really versatile and special. And especially when you can find something that's like this, it just is like the cherry on top. So thank you for stopping by the channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope that you found something interesting here. And if you've not looked at Jaeger-LeCoultre, you can find a lot of videos online of touring the manufacturer and seeing all the different things they do there. And they have some personalities out from the brand that you can really get a good sense of what they're doing. So I would highly encourage you, if you've not looked into Jaeger-LeCoultre at all, you really should, because it is one of those brands that I personally love, and I don't think it gets enough love. So appreciate you for stopping by. And again, my goal for you is that you get out of watches whatever it is that you want to get out of watches, because I want you to know and love what you have and be a satisfied collector. So thanks again for stopping by, and I'll talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.